fireworks. The intense rivalry between the neighbours guarantees good football, good scores and good crack afterwards. It was the battle of the All-Ireland B champions of the last 2 years. When you add in a Laois man as manager of the Carlow team, then the cocktail could easily be described as lethal. Before the game, there was a certain amount of caution being expressed by local papers, although surprising, a little pressure was placed on the Carlow team by the nationalists, when they claimed a good display was owed to the Carlows and the Leinster Express, that Carlow would do it. 8,000 people were in O'Moore Park to witness the battle. Laois were being mentioned as possible Leinster champions. Would Carlow bring their plans to an abrupt halt? The reporter is Kieran Mullooly.
Carlow came to Portlaoise armed with one of the new players now at Bobby Miller's side.
Really, we're not talking about changing people's heads or doing anything like that. We're talking about them being... And you can't be a champion anymore without taking in every aspect of professionalism, basically. You know, they have to look at their fitness, look at their technique, look at their food, look at their diet, everything. But then their mental, almost the mental end of it, people will use it up, and we train them in dealing with that.
The other thing, of course, I imagine you may have come across that GA traditionally psych them up. Let's hammer the table in the dressing room. Let's get them out on the field. And here comes this quack telling us now that we should be doing it. You get a touch of that on the way?
Well, first of all, I'm not a quack. I'm a professional. Yes, in fact, a lot of people will come to me and ask me to go into to psych their team up, and they're the teams I avoid. I go in to almost train a team to deal with the pressure because if you're psyched up, you're psyched out. Therefore, we build confidence on ability and not confidence on nothing. So that's where we go in, you know. It's not a question of psyching up. That happens, as I said, as a psyching out.
And finally, can Carlow do it today?
Carlow can do it today.
Eddie's optimism looked well-founded when the match got underway. It was Carlow who were to dominate those early exchanges. This point by Sean Kavanagh left them 4 points to 2 ahead after 8 minutes. Then came the first lead involved, finishing the ball to the net in expert fashion. But Carlow refused to be rattled and responded with points like this from Gavin Ware. Indeed, they might have scored a goal 5 minutes before half-time, were it not for this fine save by Emmett Burke from a shot by the corner back, Joe Murphy. At the break, the sides were level at 1-8 to 11 points, but there had been evidence of another factor which was to play a critical role in the remainder of the match, the referee. Noel Cooney from Offaly perplexed players from both sides with some of his first-half decisions, popping the ball once again on this occasion. And if the players were puzzled by it all, supporters of both counties at O'Moore Park were equally, even those who perhaps are more familiar with the rules of a different code. Mark O'Brien added this point for Laois after the break, but again Carlow responded immediately. And when Joe Hayden crossed the ball, Tony Keating was there to round the goalkeeper and finish the ball to the net. From here to the finish and those controversial last 5 minutes, it was nip and tuck between both sides. Johnny Nevin kept Carlow's nose in front with points like this. But as the sides entered the closing stage, there came the Laois penalty, which was to prove critical. Damien Delaney was involved in every stage of it, first being fouled. Then, with the support of the vociferous home crowd at O'Moore Park, the Stradbally man took the spot kick himself and scored on the rebound after a great save by John Kearns in the Carlow goals. With the sides now level at 2-11 to 1-13, we were set for what should have been a grandstand finish, but what we witnessed was a farce. It all began so innocently with Leo Turley crossing the ball, a pass to substitute Michael Turley, and a shot which went in the general direction of the posts. The umpire decided a point had been scored, much to the fury of the Carlow defenders, their large support in the crowd, and their manager Bobby Miller, who protested strongly. Referee Noel Cooney did consult his umpires, but the decision stood, and tempers flared even further. Nobody could possibly condone the behaviour of the Carlow players, but a replay of the incident in slow motion confirms what they saw, the ball appearing to go outside the post and wide. Within seconds, the incident led to more trouble, with players and officials clashing, and a general melee ensuing, with punches and kicks being thrown by players from both sides amid disgraceful scenes. Remarkably, when order was restored, there was one final opportunity for Carlow to equalise, when Laois wing-back Eamon Delaney was adjudged to have handled the ball on the ground. But Carlow sub James Reid let the adrenaline go to his head and kicked the ball wide. The final whistle followed, with the referee escorted from the pitch, and mixed reactions from both camps.
I was absolutely shattered with the standard of officiating at the match today, and it has gone against Carlow on 3 or 4 occasions now. And I really feel, I hope that the Carlow County Board and the supporters club that stand up there and say what happened in Port Laois today, because it is disgraceful. You know, I haven't seen something like that happen before in an inter-county championship match.
I was talking to Martin Mercy during the week, and I told him, he says to me that it was an easy match for us, but I told him that there was going to be 1 or 2 points at the end of it, and that's what there was.
And the winning point from your perspective or your view, had you a view of it, or what?
No view,
What did the Laois defenders say about it? At least the forwards say about it?
Nothing to say about it, just glad I went over.
It did go over.
It did go over, as far as I'm concerned, it went over. It was up on the scoreboard, so lucky we're in the next round, so thank God for that.
And for the record, this was the official final score at O'Moore Park. Laois 2-11, Carlow 1-13.
Plenty of good scores there, 70 minutes of good football, but quite rightly, I think all the talk and all the discussion will be about the closing minutes, especially that ball that appeared to go wide. I've been looking at it several times over the past few hours, and I would feel myself personally 100% certain that that ball went outside the upright. Perhaps we can look at it again. The complete circle of the ball is visible to me at all times, which couldn't happen if the ball went behind the upright for a point. So, to me, that's pretty clear evidence that that game ended in a draw. Well, Bobby Miller, you're the manager of the Carlow team. You appear there around the upright in a quite agitated state. You feel naturally that you have a great case for a replay.
That's right. After the match yesterday, I was very disappointed in me all and that the way things turned out. But today, since Wallace really contacted me from RT and I spoke to yourselves, I feel better about it, because I think we're talking about something that's factual now at the moment in relation to what happened in Port Laois yesterday. It's not a matter of interpretation. We were the victim of some bad decisions, Michal, with Airog over the last few years, but some of those could have been put down to interpretation. But today, I think what we're talking about is factual, and I think we're talking about whether, you know, Leinster Council can take a new technology aboard.
Well, we'll get maybe that from Michael Delaney later on, but
well,
we can move maybe for a moment to Desi Brennan. You're a Laois selector. You expressed a certain view yesterday as soon as the match was over.
Yes, as soon as the match was over, I was asked, did I think the particular score was true, and I, from where I viewed the match outside the Laois dugout, I thought that it was wide.
And you had a good view of it?
I had a good view of it.
Now, looking at it again here now, or maybe twice or 3 times, what's your view right now?
Well, my opinion wasn't going to change, no matter what I saw on the monitor. It was an opinion I expressed at the time, and I thought that the ball did go wide.
But the monitor, would it strengthen or weaken your opinion of yesterday?
Well, I wasn't going to be make my decision on that.
You were convinced that the ball went wide?
As far as I was concerned, I thought it went wide.
Michael Delaney, I'm wondering, is there a precedent for a team objecting or looking for an investigation on a case like this? Laois did win the game according to the scores we got today and all that, but have Carlow basis for an investigation or something?
Well, there are plenty of precedents of controversial refereeing and umpiring decisions. Laois were the victims of one in 1980 themselves in a senior hurling semi-final against Offaly, a famous no goal that was awarded to Offaly.
Yeah, a goal scored by Pádraig Hope.
That's right.
But there was no evidence to prove that one way or another at the time.
Well, Laois made no protest about it,
yes,
and nor didn't seek an investigation into it. There was, back even just before that, Wexford and Galway in an All-Ireland hurling semi-final down in Cork. Now that did go to the council chambers. The result stood, it was slightly different. The most recent one, I think, was the Connacht football, minor football final of a couple of years ago, when there was a controversial...
in Mayo, I think. Yes.
I think it was Roscommon and Galway. And,
yeah, Roscommon were involved.
And there was a controversial score or non-score near the end. The match ended, the cup was presented, but then within 10 days, I think, the Connacht Council either ordered or authorised a replay of the match, and it did take place. So there's precedence both ways.
Anything happened today by way of an appeal to the Leinster Council from Carlow?
Well, when I left my office today to come up here, I had word from the Carlow County Chairman, Jim English, that they were officially, I don't know whether you'd say they were protesting or seeking an investigation into the controversial score or non-score. But certainly by...
They'll be making a statement.
I think the first step we'll do is the council, in this, we want to be seen to be fair, not just call for an emergency meeting of our council, our full council, within 24 hours of whenever we get the word from Carlow. And I would imagine that they will also take in the views of both counties and the evidence that your programme is providing for the nation tonight.
Colm O'Rourke, you were elsewhere, but you've watched this.
Yes, it seems fairly clear. I think everybody will accept now that the umpire made a genuine mistake and that the ball was wide and got a point. Now, if the incident had to happen with 10 minutes to go on those several
well,
scores...
we can look at it again there now. Maybe you might talk about it, Colm.
Yeah, well, again, you can see the ball and you can see it doesn't go behind the post, so it's fairly clear that it is wide. And the fact that it is the critical score of the game, like if it was 10 minutes to go and there were several points afterwards, nobody could really object. But the fact that turns out to be the winning point, which isn't a point, I think in this particular case, Carlow have good grounds for hoping for a replay, and I don't think Laois would object to that.
Well, maybe Desi would say something about that Laois wouldn't object. Those words came from Colm O'Rourke, that he feels they wouldn't object, that they might even agree to a replay.
Well, I can only express my own views on what happened. I can't speak for the Laois County Board or for Colm Brown, our manager, whom I spoke to before coming on the programme. And Colm was very forthright in saying that he thought I should come along and express my views as I saw it.
I'm sure you discussed the possibility of a replay.
No, we didn't discuss any possibility
Didn't
of a replay.
even mention it?
No, we were talking about playing Dublin in Navan.
Yeah, well, there might be another game beforehand. Bobby, this whole question of video evidence, some people are totally against it. They go on the precept that the referee's decision is final. Have you something to say on that? Video evidence, it's quite clear.
Well, I think a precedent has been created already, you know, with the Munster Council issue in relation with hurling, and I think that, you know, technology impacts on society at all levels, and I think it has got impact on sport now. You know, the clear facts are there. You know, I watched the video and I watched the game yesterday, but I think
the Munster Council one would be different. It didn't affect the result of the game. This would be the first time maybe, but maybe it's heartening what Michael Delaney said about the Connacht Council. I think there was a replay in that case.
There was a replay, yes. We too, as a Leinster Council, have used video evidence, but it mostly for disciplinary reasons. But and we're also hamstrung by the fact, as every council or county board is, that the rule in the official guide says that the referee's word on time and fact is final.
But you will admit video evidence to your hearing, whether you'll go by it or not.
Most certainly we will.
Yeah. Bobby, looking at the Carlow team, it's basically the Era Oak team, and I gathered from talking to you at times in the past that people in Carlow in general feel that they come out on the wrong side pretty often.
that's right. I think the credibility of the GA is at stake in the smaller counties, Micheál, because rightly or wrongly they don't make the breakthrough very often, and I think when they're there and they're in there with a shout, and that is very important, you know, for the development of the game in these counties. There's justice is seen to be done, and I think in this case, all we're asking the Leinster Council, I'm sure Michael and that, they're all very fair people, and they're all, you know, they're all sports people.
And you have put in a lot of work with this particular Carlow team.
We've done 80 sessions, you know, something like that since the beginning of our training programme this year, Micheál. And it was heartbreaking in the dressing room. I can get over it, I've gone through this stuff before, but it was heartbreaking to see the players, the effect that the whole thing had on our players yesterday.
Yeah. There's one thing in the rule book that we have to mention. The referee's decision is final. Now, what does that mean? Of course, there's another thing in the rule book as well, that a point is scored when the ball is propelled by one of many ways between the uprights. Now, this thing of the referee's decision being final, Michael Delaney, you might be the best in commenting on that.
We have to have rules about who decides on what a final score is. Now, many of our games are not covered by video, so we only have the referee's word on what the final score was. And that is, and has always been taken down the years as the deciding factor. But we've now gone into the era of video and modern technology, and I'm quite happy that the Leinster Council will be open to have an open mind about looking at this.
Now,
And,
we don't have video evidence for every game, but for the games that we do have it, aren't we in an age when it should be used?
Well, we've gone so far as including it in our rule book to say that we may use video evidence.
Yeah.
So I think that's the road we're going on for the future.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about that point or that wide in the days to come. Can I thank the people who came along? Bobby Miller, Desi Brennan, Michael Delaney, Colin O'Rourke will be staying with us. Gurmida Mahagivsha, there to meet Sloan Nagiv. And we'll be back later, Tracy Brishabiog, Le Action L.